The anime kicks off with a young boy named Lloyd getting magic lessons in the 4 basic elements from his tough-as-nails teacher. She starts with fire and gives him a clear ultimatum: master it or skip dinner. That's one way to light a fire under someone. Motivated by hunger and fear, Lloyd trains hard. After many attempts, he proudly shows off a little flame to his teacher. She's mildly impressed until she snuffs it out and conjures up a huge blaze of her own. "Nice try," she says, "but this is just the beginning." Next day, water training. Lloyd tries to copy her water drawing technique, but fails miserably. With a better explanation and a live demo, he tries again, and this time nails it. He's feeling pretty good until she dumps a torrent of water on him. "Now that's real water," she says, grinning. Then comes wind. Lloyd shows he can use it, kind of. His teacher casually blasts him off his feet with a gust strong enough to launch a kite. Still room to grow, clearly. Later, in the forest, Lloyd makes an ice sculpture of his teacher, because why not? She finds it and smashes it after enlarging it and using Lloyd as part of the performance. He ends up buried in ice, muttering about how he still lacks real strength. Back home, his teacher falls seriously ill. Lloyd, ever caring, heals her with magic. She hugs him with gratitude, then promptly says, "Cool, back to training." One evening, she's reading a spellbook and looking unusually somber. When Lloyd enters to say dinner's ready, the book drops. The moment he picks it up, something weird happens. He faints instantly. The teacher is shocked and realizes he may be chosen. Later, while he's asleep and feverish, she leaves a healing mark on his forehead and vows not to let him repeat her mistakes. The mark disappears shortly after. Next, they return to the forest where Lloyd tries healing magic on a fruit, and it grows rapidly. Pretty cool. But his teacher shows off by healing the entire tree and casually eating a fruit before strolling off like a magic-powered boss. Lloyd is in awe. At home, she warns Lloyd that some monster people use forbidden magic to control beasts. He's curious, but she flat out refuses to teach him. It's ancient, dangerous, and should stay forgotten. Training resonates. Lloyd tries to sneakily use a hidden magic wand, but his teacher finds it and bonks him with it. Focus. She yells, unimpressed by his shortcut attempt. Later, she teaches him about magic stones, crystallized mana that can turn nearby objects into more stones. Lloyd wonders if they can be restored, but that answer's on hold for now. Finally, she blindfolds Lloyd, drags him into a forest, and says, "Here's a knife. Get home in a week." Wait, what? A monster appears immediately, and Lloyd, in full panic mode, flees and climbs a tree. He realizes white magic alone won't save him this time, and that he really needs to escape fast. Lloyd uses vision magic and realizes that the safe zone is really far away. He climbs down from the tree, hides his knife, and begins his journey. After night falls, he finds a fruit-bearing tree, magically matures a fruit, and munches on it. Then, like a budget wilderness expert, he camps in a cave and uses a basic magic circle to enhance himself slightly. The next morning, he begins climbing a mountain, only to nearly fall off it. That night, he curls up inside a tree again and casts a mana-reducing spell to conserve energy. Days pass as he roams the forest, strengthening himself and using spells. While walking, he steps on a twig, which causes a massive monster to come tumbling down. Lloyd narrowly avoids being flattened. The monster sees him and gives chase. Panicking, Lloyd activates a speed spell and runs for his life. He finally makes it home, collapses and loses consciousness. His teacher finds him and proudly welcomes him back, impressed that he completed the survival challenge. Years pass and Lloyd grows into a young man, still doing house chores. While cleaning, he finds a book about a nearby city. His teacher catches him slacking, but lets him borrow the book. Later, she drags him literally into helping her test an anti-aging spell, then tosses him back like a magic rag doll. They have lunch, but she's already brainstorming new enhancement spells. That night, she gives him a special vitality potion, which just knocks him out from exhaustion. The next morning, Lloyd is gone. His teacher finds the city book on his desk and realizes what he's done. Meanwhile, Lloyd arrives in the city, awestruck by the bustling crowds and nearly flattened by a speeding cart. The driver shouts at him, but Lloyd just marvels at city life. He buys some pastries and ends up broke. Then a flyer smacks into him, offering adventurer jobs. Perfect timing. Lloyd joins a party led by Alan. During a mission, a monster smashes through walls, shocking everyone. Alan calls for Sheena to heal the team, but Lloyd quietly casts a healing spell himself, buffing the whole squad. The team fights back, One hits the monster's eye, it retaliates, another blocks the blow. Someone restrains it, and Alan finishes it off with a mighty attack. Back in the city, the team is welcomed like heroes. At their base, Alan gives Lloyd a small payment, calling it the rank D share, and warns him not to get cocky. But Lloyd is totally chill about it. They celebrate, but Lloyd bows out because he doesn't drink. This annoys a teammate, but Alan shrugs it off, claiming white mages aren't that useful in battle anyway. Back at the teacher's house, Lloyd's observer reports to her that he's joined the adventure team hero to slay monsters. The teacher sees this as a real test for Lloyd. As long as he doesn't get arrogant, he'll be fine. The observer asks if she has any regrets, but she replies, "I won't repeat the same mistake twice." They recall the past, when the demon lord sacrificed himself to steal a magical book and nearly dragged them all into ruin. Ancient magic reversed the fate of those the demon lord had killed, but at the cost of Lloyd's life. Back in the city, a vendor is selling books about the hero team, especially Alan's monster-slaying glory. In these tales, Lloyd is only mentioned as the support guy, helping others defend until Alan could finish the fight. At Alan's house, he visits a teammate who's been studying defense magic. She admits she's noticed something odd during battles. Her blocks have felt different lately. Alan, ever cocky, says it's just his overflowing power, even though he hasn't trained in ages. Meanwhile, by the river, two city guards face a terrifying moment. A giant monster appears and kills them both, drawing ever closer to the city. Back at Alan's house, he receives word about the soldiers who were killed and is assigned the job of eliminating the monster. Confident as ever, Alan thinks it'll be a walk in the park. At the river, he casually asks if the monster is nearby. Lloyd, already prepared, reveals its location using his magic. The party enters the lair, and Alan charges in and slays the creature like it's no big deal. But before they can high-five, another monster shows up, shocking Lloyd and annoying Alan. Lloyd quickly figures out that a demon is behind this. The black jewel embedded in the demon's magic staff is crystallized mana, super rare and very dangerous. One teammate asks if the jewel is overloaded with mana, while another realizes it's being used to control monsters. Lloyd springs into action. He casts a special enhancement spell and tells Lulu to fire an arrow at the demon. She's surprised but trusts him, fires the shot, and nails it. He then asks Miaya to teleport the demon's staff to him. Miaya, slightly baffled, makes it happen. Lloyd catches the staff like a pro, impressing her and infuriating Alan, who clearly doesn't like being upstaged. Alan insists on skewering the monster, but Lloyd warns him without the magic stone's control, the monster might go berserk. Alan, being Alan, ignores the warning and charges in anyway, and almost gets squashed. Lloyd saves him by pushing him out of harm's way. Naturally, Alan gets mad again and tells him to stop interfering. Then, determined to finish it himself, Alan attacks and lands the final blow. Later at Alan's house, he vents his frustration. He tells Lloyd he's just a backliner, a white mage who isn't even healing. That's Sheena's job. He accuses him of being useless and announces that he's being kicked off the team. Lloyd, quietly hurt, asks, "Do you think I lack power?" Alan says nothing at first, but eventually tells him to just leave. So, Lloyd does. At the guild, Lloyd tries to join a new party, but their leader turns him down. They already have a white mage. Rejected again, he starts wandering around when he overhears a desperate girl begging the receptionist for help. She needs a white mage urgently by tomorrow for a diamond-class freelance mission. The receptionist tries her best, but says it's difficult. Still begging, the adventurer asks if any white mage is available. The receptionist, like a matchmaking fairy, points her to Lloyd. The girl rushes over and asks if he's a white mage. He says yes. Then she asks if he's with a party. Lloyd gives the most relatable answer ever: "I'm unemployed." Without hesitation, she grabs his hand and drags him off. This was Lloyd's soon-to-be new team, heading out on a mission to capture a group of thieves called the Mudblocks. Cross, the archer, believed they'd succeed if they followed the plan. Silica, the sorceress, reminded everyone to stay cautious. This was a grade 1 mission, after all. Yui, the leader, was confident they'd manage. Meanwhile, Clum, their current white mage, was distracted, not paying much attention at all. When the fight started, Silica launched fireballs, forcing the thieves to hide behind wooden boxes. Thinking she'd used up all her mana, the thieves tried to charge her, only to be met with Cross's arrows, wiping them out cleanly. Yui took down thief after thief, almost getting hit, but Dagus jumped in and blocked the attack. Clum finally snapped out of it and strengthened Dagus with magic, allowing him to toss the thief aside like garbage. With the thieves defeated, their leader, hiding nearby, started sweating. He thought of escaping, but the adventurers cornered him. Yui told him to surrender quietly. The leader asked who they were but froze when he saw the badge on Yui's necklace. She proudly declared them S-rank adventurers. Panicking, the thief leader grabbed his staff embedded with a magic stone and summoned a massive stone golem. The team was stunned. Silica predicted their magic wouldn't be very effective against its rocky body. Cross-dotted arrows would help either. The thief leader laughed and ordered the golem to attack. But Yui stepped up, declaring she'd handle it. She struck the golem, but it did nothing. The golem swung back, and she barely dodged. She asked Clum to cast a body-strengthening spell on her. At first, Clum was still zoned out, but after a repeat request, she obliged. Empowered, Yui struck again, this time smashing the golem to pieces. After tying up the thieves, Clum apologized to Yui for her distractions. But Yui wasn't angry. She knew Clum was worried about her younger sister, which explained her recent absences. Later at the guild, Yui quickly found a replacement white mage, Lloyd, and brought him to the team HQ. Silica was surprised she returned so fast. Cross joked she probably didn't find anyone, but Yui proudly introduced Lloyd. Dagus was skeptical and asked where the new mage was. Yui pointed to Lloyd and introduced him, but he hadn't agreed to join yet. Silica saw that coming, and Dagus grumbled that she probably didn't explain everything to him. Cross worried they'd have to cancel the next mission, since they couldn't do it without Clum. Dagus doubted Lloyd could fill Clum's shoes. Silica sympathized, but Yui was visibly upset, asking what would happen to their client if they backed out. Lloyd suggested passing the mission to another team, but Silica explained that this wasn't a rank mission, only teams of rank A or higher could accept it. Dagus reminded them that all other high-rank teams were busy, and since they were S-rank, it was up to them. Lloyd was stunned. He didn't realize they were S-rank, the highest adventurer rank. Cross added that adventurers can only work with registered teammates, so borrowing someone else wasn't an option. Lloyd wanted to help but remembered Alan's harsh words calling him useless, making him hesitate. However, Yui believed in him. They all went to the forest where Yui asked Lloyd to demonstrate his magic so they could judge his abilities. Nervous, Lloyd feared he'd disappoint them like he did with his last team. Dagus sensed his hesitation and suggested Yui ask him for a specific spell instead of putting him on the spot. Agreeing, Yui asked him to cast a strengthening spell on all of them at once, which shocked Lloyd. Cross commented that even most white mages can't do that. Lloyd asked, "If I do this, does that make me officially S-rank?" Yui confirmed, but added he had to cast it on everyone simultaneously, no taking turns. Unsure, Lloyd asked for a moment. Then he pulled out his staff, which surprised Yui, and began preparing his magic circles to cast the spell on all of them. Yui asked Lloyd where he got his staff from, but instead, he pulled out a storage magic trick and asked for their opinion on the strengthening magic he just cast. The team was stunned. Dagus couldn't believe he didn't notice any signs, and Cross felt his body lighter. Then Yui tested it by striking a tree and cleanly sliced it down. Everyone stood there, jaws dropped. Lloyd casually explained that he had cast 5 spells: body strengthening, defense enhancement, magic power boost, mana consumption reduction, and resistance to negative effects. Yui was flabbergasted. You did 5 spells on everyone. But Lloyd, thinking a simple strengthening spell was too basic, assumed they wanted something extra. Realizing he might have overdone it, he apologized, thinking he wasn't worthy of being their white mage, and offered to leave. But Yui stopped him. She was shocked to hear that Lloyd was part of the heroes party, though they kicked him out for lacking power. Cross couldn't believe it. How was this guy considered weak? Silica admitted she'd never seen anyone use magic on such a scale before. But Lloyd insisted there were plenty of white mages stronger than him. He suggested they just bring back their previous mage, Clum, instead of relying on him. But Yui explained that Clum had a very sick younger sister, which had drained her both physically and mentally. They'd all noticed how tired she looked on the last mission. Silica added that Clum herself chose to leave the team, not wanting to burden them. Lloyd finally understood why they needed a replacement. Dagus joked they could go without a white mage, but that would be quite risky. Everyone grew worried about Clum and her sister. Lloyd asked asked about her sister's illness. Yui explained vaguely, but mentioned that the disease turns the body into a magic stone. That rang a bell for Lloyd, recalling his teacher's lessons. He asked Yui to guide him to Clum's house. When they visited, Clum was surprised. Lloyd asked directly about her sister's condition, so Clum showed him. When she opened the room, a foul mana stench filled the air. Lying there was Sylvie, her sister, visibly turning into a magic stone. Clum said the mana was spiraling out of control, and it was only a matter of time before the transformation completed. But Lloyd had a theory. He asked if the injury happened in a cave with high mana density. Clum confirmed it was during a mission to retrieve a magic stone. Lloyd inspected Sylvie's wound and concluded that mana had seeped in from that exact spot. Clum, skeptical, asked how he knew this, and he humbly credited his ideal teacher. Then Clum asked if she could trust Lloyd. He got to work, using a magic circle and a reverse mana transfer spell to absorb the wild mana from Sylvie. Though it made him visibly tired, Clum was shocked to see him reshaping a spell on the fly. He explained that he needed to suppress the mana to near zero, or any treatment would be pointless. He combined spells cleverly, albeit with poor mana efficiency, allowing him to burn off the excess mana while healing. Both Yui and Clum were amazed. Yui was especially stunned to see Sylvie's limbs recovering. Eventually, Lloyd succeeded in fully healing her, and Sylvie woke up, calling for her sister. Clum burst into tears of relief and gratitude. She thanked Lloyd, saying once Sylvie fully recovered, she might adventure again. Yui thought that was for the best. Clum promised to treat them to their next meal, and Yui and Lloyd said their goodbyes. But before Lloyd left, Clum told him she was sure the team would be safe with him, and asked him to take care of them, even though he wasn't officially on the team yet. Later at the tavern, the team celebrated. Dagus praised Lloyd for healing Sylvie. Yui teased Lloyd for being so humble despite his achievement, giving him a playful smack. Lloyd was just happy that Sylvie was safe, though Clum wouldn't be returning to the team. Silica noted they needed to plan for their future, but Cross was just happy to celebrate. Dagus then asked what they'd want if given a second life. Silica shyly said she'd like to be a wife. In the middle of the fun, Lloyd surprised everyone by asking to officially join their team, on the condition that they didn't mind having someone like him. Dagus thought he was against the idea, but Cross was thrilled. Silica said Lloyd's presence was reassuring. Yui warmly welcomed him to the team, shaking his hand. She declared it was time for a welcome party. Lloyd insisted it wasn't necessary, but Yui wasn't having it. That's just how things are done. She cheekily asked if he'd follow her, and while the rest thought she just wanted an excuse to party, Yui insisted she was being serious.